are at Aldea Restaurant here in New York City at 31 West 17th Street, and I'm here with David Baverstock of Esporão Vineyards.
Thanks for that.
David, it's a pleasure to have you.
You too. Nice to be here.
Cool.
My favourite restaurant.
The cuisine at Aldea starts with Portugal as a reference point, as well as Spain and the Iberian Peninsula. But it's more importantly, it's an interpretation of me as a person and as a chef, taking old school and authentic, traditional, classical Iberian recipes and reinterpreting them in a more modern way.
The other thing I really enjoy about Portuguese, and this is nothing to do with a great evolution in cooking styles and whatever else. It's just the fact that Portugal has such fantastic fresh fish from the ocean, and you can just go to any restaurant by the sea, and they just bring the fish out of the sea and stick it on the grill
Very simply.
Yeah, and there's nothing.
Olive oil, sea salt.
There's nothing better than that. There's nothing better.
It's the shrimp alinho, which is a signature dish here at Aldea I've had since day one. It's alinho translates into garlicky. It's basically sauteed, it's shrimp that's sauteed in garlic and paprika infused olive oil, and then we bring it up to another level and add another level of flavor to it by making a really intense sauce from the heads of the prawns or the shrimp. That everybody knows most of the flavor of the shrimp is in the heads.
Normally with these wine and food pairings, it's a question of whether you get a contrast or they complement each other.
There's a lot of Portuguese reds that I would eat with this dish. I think what happens is in Portugal, a lot of times you find the majority of inhabitants are drinking more red wine than they are white. This is what I noticed when I traveled and my family was like, I mean, and I think you should be able to provide your customer with that freedom of, okay, yeah, I might recommend a white with fish, but you know what? If you want a red, I can throw 5 or 10 Portuguese reds that will match perfectly with what you're eating.
Well, in the case of Esporão, I mean, I think we're pretty lucky because we, as George was saying, I mean, you've got Portuguese food these days is pretty diverse, and there's a lot of stuff happening, and so there are some wines in Portugal that are extremely acid or extremely tannic, and they require a certain dish to pair with that. But the nice thing about the wines from Alentejo is that they're pretty well balanced. They're not overtly tannic, so you don't have to wait 20 years for them to come around. They're not extremely acid, so they only go well with fatty kind of dishes or something like that. So quite complex, because at least these two wines have had some time in oak. Right. But these wines are very well balanced and very adaptable.
I like wines that give some kind of harmony to what you're eating. You know, there's wines that all of a sudden you're eating something very heavy and fatty, like say pork belly, and you want something that's very, acidic, that's going to cut through all that richness, which is fine. But I think what Esporão does is it has that acidity that complements the seafoodness, but then it has a subtlety that doesn't overpower, and it just harmonizes with the flavors of the shrimp. Because you have that herbaceousness, then you have that smokiness, and you're drinking something wine that complements what you're eating. It's not overpowering your palate with the shrimp, but it's also adding enough freshness to, for example, when you take a fresh piece of fish and you drizzle some lemon juice on it. That's what I like wine to do when you're eating seafood, but also I want it to also bring its own characteristics that match what you're eating, and that's what I think that hits.
He says it's so much better than me.
Maybe I should be a winemaker?
Yeah, I think you'd probably be a pretty good winemaker, actually.
I love it.
Certainly got the palate really well, really well tuned. Yeah.